But several of the races at the Royal Meeting are win and you're in races for the Breeders' Cup. One of those being the Queen Anne, traditionally the curtain raiser to the Royal Meeting. So this gives you automatic entry should you win the Queen Anne to the TVG Breeders' Cup Mile on November the 7th. The £60,000 entry fees are paid by the Breeders' Cup with a $10,000 award to the nominator and also a very generous $40,000 allowance for horses stabled outside of Kentucky. So should you win the Queen Anne, entry fee paid in, travel paid as well. And a big field for this year's Queen Anne. The market headed by Circus Maximus at 12-5, Terabellum at 9-2, Fox Chairman at 8-1, Duke of Hazzard at 11s, Mustachery at 12, and it's 14-1 and bigger the remainder. So Circus Maximus heads into the race as the market leader for Adrian O'Brien and Ryan Moore. The horse who was actually last seen at the Breeders' Cup, but this was his run last year at the Royal Meeting when he won the St James's Palace Stakes. Scardu, who reopposes back in 4th place this day. He beats King of Comedy and 2 Down Hot, Circus Maximus. Charging into the lead inside the final furlong. On the back of this, he went down to be 2nd in the Sussex Stakes, was 7th in the Jubilee International up in distance, came back in trip to win the Moulin, and then was 4th in the Breeders' Cup Mile. So Circus Maximus heads the field with Scardu, who was 4th that day at a bigger price for William Haggis. Terabellum is a 9-2 chance, 2nd best in for John Gosden and Frankie Dettori. This filly by Sea the Stars coming back in distance. She was a winner at Newmarket last time up, beat Queen Power to win over the mile and a quarter in the Dahlia Stakes. Her last few runs have all been over 10 furlongs, including this success in the Prix de la Nonette at Deauville last summer. Got an official mark of 110, so £8 inferior to Circus Maximus, but does get the filly's allowance. Terabellum dropping back in distance. One of her recent forms has been over the mile and a quarter. She's back down to the mile for the Queen Anne. Fox Chairman is the 3rd favourite. We heard from Alistair Donald on Saturday, the racing manager for King Power Racing. They just said a strong run mile on the stiff track would probably bring the best out of Fox Chairman. It was another one who's been campaigned over further. This was his luckless run when he was placed 2nd to Sangarius in the Hampton Court last year. Roseman finishes 5th in the Obeyed colours, a horse who reopposes. But Fox Chairman on the back of this, he won at Newbury, missed the rest of the season after winning the Steventon Stakes, but reappears here after only 4 career starts. He was a winner on debut last year at Newbury, so a horse who does go well fresh. 2nd at the Royal Meeting last year, back in trip today. Andrew Balding had a great start to the new season as well. 11 winners over the last couple of weeks. Duke of Hazzard in there for the Cole team, Paul and Oliver Cole with Duke of Hazzard. Mustachery 12-1. And Mohatha goes for Marcus Tregoning, another one who's unexposed. Jim Crowley on board, his son of showcasing. He won 3 times last season at Nottingham, at Newbury. 2 Group 3s at Newbury. Won the Horace Hill and also the Greenham before finishing down the field in the QE2. Well, I say down the field, he was 5th on very heavy ground. He's back out for Marcus Tregoning, rated 113, so he's up there. Mustachery off 121, the highest rated in the field. A horse who we last saw winning the Challenge Stakes at Newmarket at the back end of last season. He was 7th in the Queen Anne last year. But it's an open division. Lord Glitter's the winner last year for David O'Meara. Accidental Agent winning the race 2 years ago. Ribchester for Richard Fahey. The winning favourite he was in 2017. Then go back to Tepin, who won for America, 11-2. And of course, Solo, a brilliant winner for Freddie Head as the 11-8 market leader. The Prince of Wales, most definitely the feature race on Wednesday. Mile and a quarter of the distance. The Prince of Wales giving you automatic entry into the Breeders' Cup Turf. The $150,000 entry fees paid, $10,000 to the nominator, and a $40,000 travel allowance as well for horses stabled outside of Kentucky. Small field for the Prince of Wales. But Japan is the even money favourite. Headman second best at 5-1. We heard about that horse's chances earlier on from Teddy Grimthorpe. Barney Roy at 6-1. Adabe at 10-1. Lord North at 12. And Medaya also at 12. And Bangkok, the outsider of the field, at 40-1. Here is Japan. We're going to have a look at this horse in action. Winning the King Edward last year. Of course, not only the Derby sort of consolation this year, a trial for the Derby. But all the vibes from Ballydoyle are expecting a big year from Japan. He was last seen finishing 4th to Valgeist in the Arc. He had a wonderful summer. Won this, went across to Longchamp, and as the odds-on favourite, won the Grand Prix de Paris, and then won the Judemont International as well before his good run in the Arc as well. He's back down in distance, but we saw last year at York at the International, distance no issue when he chinned Crystal Ocean, if you remember. Takes on Headman, who's the up-and-comer in the field. He rattled off a 3-timer last year, won the London Gold Cup at Newbury last year. Often a race that does throw up group performers. Went on to winning Group 2 company twice over in France, and then finished 5th, only beaten 3 lengths by Magical in the Irish Champion Stakes. He's got the potential to really improve this year and become a really good top-class Group 1 performer. Roger Charlton's always had a great degree of faith in Headman, who's rated 115, so he's got £7 to find with Japan, but he could well do so as an improver. And also up there on the ratings is Barney Roy, rated 116, of course, a horse who has some very good form back through the years. He was 8th to Lord Glitters in this race last year, but has since bounced back. He actually went off favourite for the Queen Anne 12 months ago, but has since bounced back with a couple of good wins over in Dubai, winning Group 2 company, before then stepping up to win the Jebel Hatter on his most recent start. Rated 116, Japan 122, Headman 115. And Dabe on 122. Also has got a very high rating and won a couple of good races down in Australia, coming back down in distance if he takes his chance. Lord North for John Gosden, an improver. And the Brigadier Gerard on its most recent start. But Crystal Ocean, who was just beaten by Japan up at York last year, won this race 12 months ago as the 3-1 chance. Poet's Word a couple of years ago for Sir Michael Stout. Highland Reel for Aidan O'Brien back in 2017. With the notable winners. Well, Roger Charlton with Headman this time. Sent out Alcazim to win it in 2013. Another one for Aidan O'Brien would be So You Think. And of course, Byword, who was in the colours of Prince Khalid Abdullah, he cruised home as the 5-2 favourite 10 years ago, would you believe, for Andre Fabre. And some of the big names on there: Duke of Marmalade, Ouija Board, Azamor, Rakti, 16 years ago, and Fantastic Lights Dubai Millennium for Syed bin Saror back at the turn of the millennium. Is the Norfolk Stakes. This race has been won by Wesley Ward a couple of times in recent years. So if you win the Norfolk, you're automatically entered into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf on November the 6th. The $30,000 entry fee paid up, with $10,000 going to the nominator, and a £40,000 travel allowance for horses stabled outside of Kentucky as well. The market, that's led by Eye of Heaven, who is a 3-1 market leader. Golden Pal second best at 4s. Admiral Nelson at 5-1. The Learjet at 5. And it's 6-1 and bigger the remainder. The Norfolk Stakes this year on the Friday comes up as their third race at 2.25. Golden Pal for Wesley Ward, who won it with Shang 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 a couple of years ago. And before that, it was No Nay Never. Golden Pal, we can have a look at running over in America. Showed plenty of early speed this day, but just tired late on dirt debut. But the horse, who was well beaten back in third this day, has won since. Looks to hold a good chance for Wesley Ward. Plenty of unexposed types in this, especially with a late start to racing, has been quite hard to get a grip on some of these form lines. But one horse we have seen on track and who has since been bought by Sheikh Fahad is the Learjet, who scorched home to win on debut at Yarmouth on the third day back of racing. Showed good speed this day and wins pretty readily. Wins by 2 3/4 lengths. Shane Murphy will now take the ride. Sylvester de Souza on board this day. The Learjet beat Stedman on this occasion. Knuckled down well in the closing stages. Like with a performance of Sheikh Fahad to buy into him. So Eye of Heaven heads the betting. Currently the 3-1 market leader. Nathan O'Brien well represented, but Eye of Heaven, who won at Newmarket for Frankie Dettori and Mark Johnson, is the 3-1 market leader. Diamond Jubilee also featuring amongst the win and you win races for the Breeders' Cup. The Diamond Jubilee over 6 furlongs, of course. This gives you an automatic entry into the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint on the 7th of November. Again, the £30,000 entry fee paid by the Breeders' Cup, with $10,000 going to the nominator and a $40,000 travel allowance for horses who are stabled outside of Kentucky. This is the 3:35 on Saturday, and Skeptical heads the market at 3-1. Hello Youmzain is a 6-1 chance. Space Blues at 8s, Cardem at 10s, One Master at 12, and it's 14-1 and bigger the remainder. Have a look at a few of these in action. There's currently 12 horses have gone forward for this race at the moment. Hello Youmzain for Kevin Ryan and Kevin Stott. The horse has won 4 of his 8 starts, beaten Ascot at the back end of last season, but previously stepped up to win the Sprint Cup. And we can see him here hitting the frame in behind Advertise in the Commonwealth Cup. He'd previously beaten Calix at Haydock in the Sandy Lane. Be having his first run back as a 4-year-old. For Kevin Ryan, has had 5 winners in the last couple of weeks. That's Hello Youmzain, mark of 118. He takes on Space Blues, a horse who's been tried over a variety of trips. And he is finishing second in the Jersey Stakes last year. A horse trained by Charlie Appleby. Space Blues with Royal Ascot form to his name. James Doyle rode him to victory on his most recent start. Cape Barrow, another one in the lineup for Roger Varian, a horse who does like the track. Andrea Zini on board, winner of the Wokingham last year. Loads of money around from late in the day. And he went on to win in good style down the centre of the track. So a reminder, if you win the Diamond Jubilee, automatic entry into the Breeders' Cup. Dream of Dreams for Sir Michael Stout. At the moment, Tom Marcander's been booked for the ride. He was beaten just ahead by Blue Point in this race last year. Since then, last seen down the field on very heavy ground on Champions Day, was 8th to Hello Youmzain in the Betfair Sprint Cup. Also won twice early on last season at Chelmsford and at Windsor. Does seem to like Ascot. Any thunder showers around certainly won't do his chances any harm. Second to Blue Point 12 months ago. And a total of 12 of them at the minute have gone forward. The Tin Man as well amongst the possible runners in that Diamond Jubilee on Saturday.